Good day and welcome to the Sport Rep Show. I'm your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraitha, updating you on the latest sports news. Sit back, relax, and wait for your hit list. And now for your latest stories on the hit list. Bank Windhoek Indoor Hockey is back. The Namibia Hockey Union Bank Windhoek Indoor Hockey League this season will be a test to see the progress of clubs that have made, League Administrator Mariki Shok has said. The season begins on Friday with clubs battling it out for top honors in what is predicted to be an exciting season. The games will be mainly played that's at the Windhoek Showgrounds and in Swakopmund at the MTC Dome. Last year, the Saints men and women's team were crowned champions of the league. And on to your next story, the birth of Oshinene Sports Club. Oshinene Sports Club Alfonso Shatindi has expressed happiness towards the club's progress and development. The club has recently begun its quest to produce top-class athletes in the Omaheke region. The club had a few athletes competing, that is at the Athletics Namibia Grand Prix at the weekend at Rietfontein. Shatindi hopes they will be able to groom the athletes into the next big stars of the region and country with the support of corporate Namibia. And on to your next story. The Maize Triangle League plans an AGM. The Maize Triangle Soccer League, sponsored that's by Dundee Precious Metal Tumep Community Trust, is planning to host its annual general meeting in 2 weeks. The meeting will pave way for the season, which organizers hope can start in March. Member of the league, Jefta Garb, has revealed that more clubs are interested in joining the other existing 12 clubs, but the organizers will, however, have to inform the sponsors in order to deliberate funding increment. We will go now for a break before we introduce your latest segment, that's the Game Changer. Well, Sport Rep today sat with players agent Olsen Kahiriri, who spoke about the current situation involving Namibia players and the way they are treated in foreign countries. This is what Kahiriri had to say in a lengthy interview.
Yes.
Master Olsen Kahiriri, football and labor consultant, of course, a players agent on the other side. Well, today I'm here to talk about the player agency and how things have been going so far. And we know that recently we had reports that a player like Elmo Kambindu, a club released a statement. So will you say that your agency, Kahiriri, is failing, or what happened in that matter?
Failing. Yeah. Failing is somehow, if there's failures, we ought to learn from failures, because failures is what makes us strong. Because every success comes out of failures. But to come to the question that you have asked, no, there's a, you see, you must be able to understand how a contractual issue works. Some clubs see players on television, some clubs see players through social media and all these things, and their performance at their respective areas and all these things. There's a lot of factors you must consider when a club actually contract a player. Before you have actually contracted a player, you must be able to scout the player properly, look the environment that is best suited for the player, the attitude of the player, the professionalism of the player, and all these things. And in most aspects, clubs do not consider those things. You see, when we sell a player, or when we seek employment for a player, we tend to engage with chairmen of the clubs. Team managers don't speak to us. We don't have anything to do with coaches and all these things. So the engagement is at high level platform. The club also sometimes would also bring an agent, that then it will be an agent-to-agent discussions and all these things. And every time you sign a contract for a player, you would want 100% for the player to play for that club. Because football is not about earning salary, it's also about performance, being in the first 11 and all these things. So this we try and put into the contractual aspect. Now, the question that we have asked, Elmo signed for Sekhukhune for 2.5 years. Unfortunately, the club spoke to us. They bought tickets for this player to get to South Africa. He's currently also residing with them. They are the one also seeking loans for this player, alternative clubs that will loan him. So the player is actually contracted with them, it's their employee. So they decide what happens to the player. But if the player is not happy that he's not getting game time, he's probably been shifted to other alternatives and all these things, he would have to engage with us and seek.
So let's say this player engages with you, because at the moment it was, we find it kind of shocking that this club had to release a report like that. I mean, this is so demoralizing for a player in terms of the words and the terminology that was used in this release, which was actually shocking. So in terms of that, what has you as a player or the agent that was responsible for this deal to go through, what did you see it as? Has the player not even contacted you in terms of that?
The club has not released anything. It was just a discussion where the interview was also conducted with the team manager. And it was clearly the team manager's position that the player is not in his blood, and we respect and believe that the club team manager has already planned for the season, because the season has 2 phases, and Elmo is entering the 2nd phase of the season. So he probably had not engaged properly with the chairperson. So if he does not have Elmo's plans into the 6-month term of the contract, that's not a big issue.
But is the money going? Is Elmo receiving a salary at all?
Obviously, the contractual obligations is still there. That's why we cannot look for Elmo another club. But under the instructions of the club that probably they are seeking a club that they will loan him to just get the fitness and all. Okay, so he's contracted by the club.
Will the money be the same? Let's say he is loaned out. Will he still receive the same that you negotiated for?
The salary does not change. It's just the loan conditions that change. So you must understand, this is normal in football. All over the world, some players, Chelsea has how many players on their books? Some of the players are loaned somewhere and all these things. This is normal in football. But the fact of the matter is the club has purchased and gave the player a contract that they are interested in to his service. Whether today or tomorrow, we do not know when they will discharge their...
Okay, but don't you think going forward in the future, it's always important to avoid scenarios of such nature? I don't know how you can avoid them, but you can't avoid thinking of a club. You understand? Yes.
A club would probably buy a player.
In your clause, in your contract clause, isn't there anything that you can actually use to protect the player?
You can't. How do you protect the player if the player's contract is not touched? Is the only problem that we have in such a contract. The player is entitled to terminate the contract on the basis that he's for a just cause, that he's not in the interest of sports, that he's not playing. You understand? But that would only not also mean today. It will mean there must be a certain time frame, or 6 months or so, that he has not been playing in order for him to invoke that rights and all these things. So these are football contractual things. You must understand how it works. But the biggest, most important thing that one should understand is these contracts are volatiles. You can't preempt what the club has. Club buy players or contract players in a lot of elements. Some would want a player to play one season with them so that they release him and earn a lot of money out of the player. Some would want to keep some players to win titles with. Some would bring players to come and just sell jerseys, but not in the interest of playing. All those aspects plays a role in a contract. So when you engage with a club, you also make it very clear to a club that this is my product and this is a top player. And if you have an interest in him, these are my points.
But I wanted to go back to the protection of the player as an individual indeed. Reports came throughout the media and the way they sounded, wasn't there any way to respond to that publication in terms of saying that because it sounded as if the player is really not good enough at all?
Sometimes you don't want to make public statements, newspaper articles, things get weight for the value it does not possess. Everybody globally, in Southern Africa, knows the quality of the player in question. The Namibian people also knows if the publication is wrong, it has not even put a dent to the player's image, because the performance of the player speaks volume for himself. That's a top player. There's nothing we can do. So why would you go into... I would understand that you would want to do damage control on something which is wrong. Like the image of the player is being damaged, that he was seen at a club, he was seen where he shouldn't have been, and all. Those are things that you should react to. But certain things that, when a player has been dropped from a national team, as a representative, why would you comment to that? That is normal within the game. So we also want to build a strong relationship within the clubs. Sometimes people twist information that they get from clubs in order to get.
So are you saying that article could have actually been spiced up in the way it came out?
Because the player is still with the club. What more can we say? But the article, the way it was portrayed, is as if this player is not contracted.
Yes,
I would have given you the contract just to show that this person is contracted. It's there in the file. This player is contracted, he has a contract, but I will also share it with you in order to see nicely that indeed this player is contracted with a third club. But you know, those things are private and confidential. You don't make it very publicly known, but we know what is the stand between us and the club.
Okay, speaking of stands between you and clubs, there has been a lot going on, especially with foreign clubs and how they treat Namibian players. And we know that there have been the likes of Willie Stefanas, a lot of players, you can name them, that have gone through... Mapensi, yes, you can name them, that have gone through, and I'm sure you have been successful in winning some of the cases for them.
Phineas is one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, you know,
and these are the kind of things that one gets worried about when you read an article of such nature that, look, do these foreign clubs actually respect our players sometimes?
It's not about respect of players. You must understand, you must be able to understand where you find yourself. You see, foreign players in respective clubs where they play earn more than an ordinary player within that specific club, on the aspect that they come from a different country. Now, and clubs also is obliged to comply with quotas in order to field players on the field. Now, one should have to take consideration as a club owner the type of player you want to contract. Because this player must be exceptionally good than an average player from that country. Because he will come at the high cost. Secondly, you would have to look at the country where you find yourself. Let me say, for instance, you are in South Africa, which is roughly 60 million people, and everybody wants to play for Kaizer Chiefs. And here you come for a population that is nearly 2.5 million. And straight you end up the training field of Kaizer Chiefs. And there are South Africans within that club. Obviously, when you come, you find players playing at your own portfolio, and local players would want to protect each other into that team. So sometimes it's difficult for you to be receiving proper treatment within amongst your peers.
What do you do as a consultant?
You can't do anything because that's
do.
the world out there. If you want to become a professional footballer, the world out there, people think it's an easy thing for me to find a contract for Jesse in Pietermaritzburg or whatever. It's not easy. It looks easy when the contract has been signed, but the negotiations, the engagement, the actual work that goes deep into that is too much. So that environment is, the players should understand it's not an easy thing, because you are a foreigner, you must do extra than an ordinary player within that country. So I find it as competition, because football is about competition. That's basically it.
Thank you so much. Oh, well, that was your man, Olsen Kahiri, on the sharpshooter and not the game changer, as I alluded to earlier. I'm sure we were just excited to have our next program, which is That's the Game Changer, but that will only happen after the break.
And succeed with PST Bet.
So, where were we?
PST Bet. You play, we pay. Not for persons under the age of 18.
Well, this is now your actual game changer, and it is the star of the week. The star of the week is not coming from Namibia this time around, but from the Netherlands. That's Daniel Abraham, a Paralympian who finished the weekend's Pupkewitz Tour de Windhoek in overall 9th. And this guy is a Paralympics gold medalist, and this is what he had to say.
Daniel, it's I think the second year that you've come to Namibia for training?
A couple of years I come now, 4 years actually, every year, once or twice a year.
Yeah, you seem to enjoy it.
I definitely enjoy it. A nice place, nice people, and yeah, sure.
How did this tour go for you?
Yeah, the tour was going as well, and I tried my best, and there was some South African teams, they were so strong. And yeah, that was great, great race, and good organization, and really happy. I hope to come next year again and with better performance.
So you were also a medalist at the Paralympic Games?
Yes, as well. Last year I got the time trial gold medal, and the road race bronze medal.
Okay, so have you got any goals for this year that you're working towards?
Yeah, sure. For the World Champion Paralympic, will be happening in August in Canada. As well, I'm preparing here and yeah. So that is new the what's the goal.
Very well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
He is quite a star. Well, welcome back. We will now cross over to our international correspondent, Ari Ochat, on That's the Globetrot.
Good day everyone, it's time for international sport, and we start off with Formula One racing, and there's 3 days of testing going on at the moment. It's in Spain, it is at the Circuit de Catalunya, and that will go until the 25th. The testing, the new drivers have been announced, and the new cars, the vehicles have been announced of all the teams to the media, and the first race will be in a few weeks time, and that will be in Bahrain the 20th of March. Focus will be, of course, on Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, and they revealed their new cars. Max Verstappen that won the 2021 title, he will be in his new car called the RB18, and then also Lewis Hamilton will be in action in his new vehicle, and they call the new Mercedes-Benz for the 2022 season, they call W13. So that's something to look forward to. There's testing now. There will also be some more testing the 10th to the 12th of March, and then the first race will be the 20th of March in Bahrain. And now I continue with some cycling news, and cycling news is from the Tour of United Arab Emirates, the Tour of UAE, and the third stage was a 9-kilometer time trial, not a long distance. It was completed just under 10 minutes by the riders, and the winner there was from Switzerland. The winner was Stefan Biesinger. He finished it in 9 minutes and 43 seconds. He was 7 seconds ahead of the person in second place was Philippe Ganna of Italy, 7 seconds behind Biesinger, and then in third place was France's Tom Dumoulin. He was in third place. The overall classifications at the moment is Biesinger that leads after his time trial win, and he is just 7 seconds ahead of Filippo Ganna of Italy in second place, and the time trial specialist that led after the second stage, that's Jasper Philipsen. He is in third place, 12 seconds behind the leader. The next stage, the fourth stage, will be 181 kilometers. And now for some soccer news or football news. It is the Champions League games that is taking place this week, and the results that I can give you was that Chelsea played at home against Lille, and they had a good win of 2-0 in the first leg. It's the first leg in the round of 16. They beat Lille by 2-0. Other game that took place was Villarreal that played against Juventus, and Villarreal playing at home, they conceded a goal in the first minute. They went 1-0 down very early. They came down to level it 1-1, and that's the way it stayed till the final whistle. So it was Villarreal and Juventus 1-1 in their first leg game. The second leg games between these teams, Chelsea and Lille, and also Juventus and Villarreal, that will be played on the 16th of March. And to conclude international sports news for today, some tennis news, and it is Rafael Nadal, the Australian Open champion, that's back on court again. He had a few weeks rest after winning the Australian Open, and he's playing in the Mexican Open. It's an extremely strong field that's playing there. Almost all the best players in the world, not besides Novak Djokovic. And Rafael Nadal, he's got a winning start in the first round. It's played on hard courts, and he beat Dennis Kudla of America by 6-3 and 6-2. Other high-profile players, world-leading players that's playing in the Mexican Open, that's through to the first or the second round, is Daniel Medvedev. He's the first seed. Then also Stefanos Tsitsipas and Alexander Zverev. They're all going to be in action in the Mexican Open. Novak Djokovic, he's playing in the Qatar duty-free tournament, and he had a good start. He won his first round game. He made his comeback again after all the controversy in Australia. And other result from the round of 32 is Denis Shapovalov of Canada. He beat Martin Fucsovics by 7-5 in the third. It was quite a tight game for him there. Andrei Rublev also through. He beat David Evans by 6-4 and 7-5. On the women's WTA tournament, it is the Qatar Open that's taking place at the moment. Number one seed there is Aryna Sabalenka, and Aryna Sabalenka, she had an easy win over Elise Cornet, and the score there was 6-2 and 6-2. And other result there was Maria Sakkari from Greece. She's number 6 seed. She beat An Lee by 6-3 and 6-3. So that's the international sports news for today. Have a great day, everyone. We talk again tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Ari, for that update. Tonight is crunch time. That's the Champions League. Well, the big one is Manchester United versus Atletico Madrid. A big one indeed. Cristiano Ronaldo returning to the Champions League. Well, that is all we had for you today. Do not forget to catch us again live tomorrow. Same time, same place. From me, Jesse Jackson Kauraisa, it is ciao.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.